Hi, my name is Jake, and this is my son Jacob, and we are here to talk about 2019's Godzilla King of the Monsters. This film was directed by Michael Dougherty and is the third movie in this monsterverse. We had first 2014's Godzilla, and then we had Kong Skull Island, and then now Godzilla King of the Monsters. First of all, the director is the same director that directed my second favorite horror film of all time, and one of my favorite films of all time, Trick or Treat. You like Trick or Treat too, right? Yeah, I mean, I even have a tattoo from that film, so that's definitely a movie that I really love. And this movie feels like a movie that he would have directed. It's the same, it's a lot of fun, and a lot of the shots just feel like something that you can tell that it's him. The 2014 Godzilla film, one thing that I heard a lot of the same complaint over and over is that it didn't have enough of Godzilla. It didn't have enough of the monsters. They focused a lot on the human characters and not enough on the monsters, and particularly Godzilla. A big chunk of that movie is focused on the humans and the Muto monster. So this movie definitely learned from that mistake and uses the monsters a lot more than in that film. We see plenty of Godzilla in this film. There's also plenty of other monsters though. Which monsters are the big players in this film?
Godzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra, and
Yeah, the big titans in this film are Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, and Rodan.
Or Jeff Goldblum.
Or Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, so those are the big four. There's also some other titans that we see little parts of. We see another, what it looks like a Muto from the previous film. That's what it looks like it is. And then there's also a mammoth and a spider titan that we see. So we see a couple of extra ones, but they're kind of just in the background. They're not one of the big players in the film. The big players are the four that we just mentioned. And those four titans have plenty of spotlight in this film. They all get their little moments. And I thought they were all treated pretty well. So out of the four titans in this film, which one did you have the most fun watching?
Godzilla and Rodan, those two were tied.
Godzilla and Rodan. Mine personally was Mothra. I always loved Mothra. And she's awesome in this film, per usual. But definitely, this is definitely a more realistic look for Mothra, I guess. But all the characters look great. They definitely were updated versions of their original, man in suit characters from the old Godzilla films. But I thought that they did a good job with all of them. The main two characters in this film were played by Millie Bobby Brown and Vera Farmiga, who plays her mother. They were part of a family that lost their son in the 2014 events, the Godzilla and the Muto fight in San Francisco. And since then, the father has kind of taken off and become kind of an alcoholic, and he's really struggled with what's happened. With Vera Farmiga's character, she now just puts all of her time and effort into her work. She is obsessed with these titans, and really her whole life has just been consumed by these titans. Another character, which is a character that is returning from the 2014 Godzilla film, is played by Ken Watanabe. He has been my favorite character in both of these movies. He's the one that makes the most sense pretty much in both of these films. Everything he says makes sense compared to everyone else who I think has lost their mind for the most part. Vera Farmiga, she's pretty much she's consumed with the titans. Like I said, she thinks that to bring balance to the planet, she has to release all the titans, and that is a kind of something that would have worked, it seems outside of there being one issue. What is the issue with the titans and her plan?
King Ghidorah.
Yeah, King Ghidorah is kind of the issue with this plan, because she thinks that she's restoring the Earth back to what it was before. But the problem is that King Ghidorah is not of this Earth. King Ghidorah is a titan from another planet. So he is an alpha male that is kind of at odds with Godzilla, and as well as definitely not something that is good for this planet. And she doesn't realize that. It's these movies are always scientists really trying to get more involved than they're ready to be. They try to do things that they are not ready for, and always end up messing things up. And that's kind of the same here. She starts working with these eco-terrorists, and all the plans that they had really just did not go the way that they had hoped for. With the Mothra character, what is one thing about the Mothra character that's different in this movie compared to the other ones?
They don't have these little people who say Mothra things.
Yeah, the fairies that kind of spoke for Mothra and was always connected to Mothra in the other films, they are not in this movie. You see one of the characters in the film that kind of talks about her ancestors, and it's her in her lineage there's a bunch of twins that very clearly look like the twins from the Mothra films. but they are not in this. Like, I guess it kind of seemed like they were maybe just trying to go for a more like realistic approach for Mothra. And I guess that didn't involve the fairies, but I don't know. Like, I mean, that's just the way I saw it. But also, like, you know, this is a movie about giant titans fighting one another. There's not really any realism to it at all. So I think that the fairies probably would have worked for this film, but you know, who knows. Going back to the character that Ken Watanabe plays, as I said, he was my favorite in both of these films. He ends up passing away in this film. Godzilla is in critical shape. He kind of needs to be reignited with some more radiation, and he uses a nuke to bring Godzilla back. And in doing that, you know, he doesn't make it through. And that's kind of disappointing because I really like that character. In both of these movies, he was the one that made the most sense, and you know, he had a great ending for the character. He really had a good story arc from beginning to end. And yeah, that kind of leads into the final act of the film, which is where Ken Watanabe's character, you know, kind of bringing Godzilla back leads into. And that ends up being Rodan and King Ghidorah versus Mothra and Godzilla in a tag team match. What did you think about the final fight?
It could have been better.
Could have been better? What could have made it better?
That Mothra actually fought Ghidorah for like longer, because she only fought Rodan. Rodan should have fight Ghidorah.
Yeah, the match was pretty much King Ghidorah versus Godzilla, the two alphas, and then there's Rodan fighting Mothra. In the Rodan versus Mothra fight, the Mothra is the winner. Mothra takes down Rodan, and then in the Godzilla versus King Ghidorah fight, it's pretty even. It looks like even, you know, King Ghidorah may have like the advantage a little bit until a certain thing happens. With Godzilla, when his radiation is at like, you know, its highest peak, what happens to Godzilla?
Godzilla turns into burning Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla turns into burning Godzilla, which is like Godzilla's strongest form, and he looks awesome. He's just glowing red. Everything around him is melting. And what else happens with burning Godzilla?
Godzilla goes boom.
Yeah, he kind of just explodes, and he, like I said, he becomes super powerful, and then like kind of once he becomes burning Godzilla, King Ghidorah really has no chance. He like pretty much can't even like stand up to Godzilla whatsoever.
Except for that one hand who did survive that whole blast.
Yeah, there's he pretty much destroys, you know, King Ghidorah, and then the ending of the film kind of teases a couple of things. First of all, one of the organizations in the film ends up having the only piece of King Ghidorah that's left, which is a head, which, you know, we have our theories about how that's going to play into Godzilla vs. Kong, but we'll see about that. But, yeah, so they tease, you know, that King Ghidorah's head is still out there. And then another thing that they tease is they show these, like, cave paintings, and what is on the cave paintings? Yeah, it's King Kong and Godzilla facing off against one another. So they tease quite a few things near the end of the film, and that's always exciting, you know, for the next thing. And then another thing that kind of tease is like during the final battle, Godzilla's hurt, and Mothra kind of sacrifices herself to give her energy to Godzilla. And then when we saw the movie, my fiance was pretty upset because she liked Mothra. But like for a long time Godzilla fan, they kind of saw that coming. I feel like every movie I've seen with Mothra in it, she ends up dying. But the good thing about Mothra is pretty much as soon as she dies, she's reincarnated like into another larva. And that's the same thing with this. At the end of the movie, you know, you see the larva, and obviously Mothra's coming back. So the movie really teases a lot in the end, and like certain things that we're getting now and certain things that I hope that we get in the future. Like I'd love to have another Mothra film. But as far as the rating goes, what would you give this movie?
I'd give it a great.
I'd give it a great too. The movie is a lot of fun to watch, and the monster, all the scenes with the monsters are amazing. The only thing that kind of brings it down, well, there's two things that bring it down. The first thing is kind of the human characters. Like I always loved Millie Bobby Brown, but the other characters kind of just like, I don't know, drag the movie down a little bit in my opinion. It's not like they're not as likable as the characters from Kong Skull Island. Those characters are like top notch. These characters I kind of just like felt whatever about. And the other thing that kind of affected this movie is like they could have used a Jeff Goldblum cameo, to be honest.
A whole army of Jeff Goldblums.
Yeah, maybe a three-headed Jeff Goldblum.
They replaced Ghidorah with three-headed.
Yeah, they could have cast Jeff Goldblum as King Ghidorah, but you know.
Or Godzilla, or Rodan, or every monster.
Right. Well, you know, hindsight's 20/20. Maybe next time. But If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section. Out of the first 3 movies in this MonsterVerse leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong, which one was your favorite? And also subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. I guess that's it. Until next time.